as you can see around, is a place where knowledge are shared, and we cannot overemphasize on what we have gotten here today. If you listen carefully, one of the topic discussed here is building collapse, and we are sharing information and sharing knowledge on how to reduce to the barest minimum on the issue of building collapse in Abuja and Nigeria as a whole. However, you cannot attribute the issue of building collapse to builders alone. Why? Because there are many factors that lead to building collapsing. We are only discussing the part that concerns building and how we can minimize all those challenges. Those who have received awards today have indeed contributed immensely to the Institute. Some of them are people who have pushed some policies that enhance building as a whole as practice in Nigeria and elsewhere.
The National Institute of Builders is doing marvelously well today. They brought all the builders from far and near for the conference, for the 56th conference of the Institute. And you can see the mammoth crowd that raised this occasion. And the event is well packed. I'm happy to be here. And I'm one of the person that received an award, an honorary award. I'm so excited. As a Commissioner of Urban Development in the state, we work with the executive government. And the Institute has a chapter in Kogi State. We work collaboratively with them and also ensure that all their programs and activities we are part of everything and they do very well. And you can see that the builders are doing very well in their nations. They are behind the success of any building. And you see, most of them are project directors, project managers, and they check everything that has been done by maybe the quantity surveyors and the architects, whatever they who really put it on ground to see that the specification as contained in the bill of quantity is established on the ground, and for an edifice to start out from the ground into a very big one are the builders. So when you talk about housing, as far as Nigeria is concerned, you cannot complete the story without having the builders at the center of it.
You can also see that it's very, very important. And again, it's another call for charging ourselves, especially in the area of building collapse, so which is a major effort to the Institute generally. And more importantly for me, because I've been with the Institute for quite some time, and I can confidently say that the Institute has grown tremendously. I remember in the late 80s and early 90s, when we have this kind of gathering, we barely can count the number of but today, you can see even the number of builders that have been inducted today. So it shows the growth of the Institute. For me, maybe the executive considered it that way, but for me, I don't see it as a reward for whatever. But the important thing for me is that as a member of this institute, I hold the institute to contribute everything I have, because I make my living as a professional through this profession, and I have the responsibility to ensure to the growth and development of the profession. I had the opportunity that last year I addressed the new inductees of the institute. Now, one thing is what you are taught in the school, but when you move out to practice, it's a huge challenge, because if you are not able to stand on your own, you'll probably be working against what you've been taught in school. In school, maybe at the final year, you have what we call the professional practice and code of conduct. This is a course that is run to professional builders to put them through and prepare them for what they will be facing in the real life. But in the real life is when, because the client who pays the money dictates the tool. That's when you will now see that you have a building. We all know that before you start any development, you're supposed to have the authority. In this case, the authority is the permits from the various government in charge. Now you now find a situation whereby the authority is not yet out, and your client is now putting pressure. Start. You don't start, go and get another person. So you really must be on your toes to be able to decide whether you want to go ahead and violate the law, or whether you want to find a way to tell the client that no, we can't do this for this. Again, you have instances where spaces are ordered. Setbacks are done in the drawing, and the client will come and say, no, I just took this. So you really must be on your toes as a professional to be able to stand and say something against that in front of your client. It's a world of challenge outside there, and it's always my encouragement to younger ones that if it is in terms of money, this profession is such that if you build yourself very well and you maintain your standard, if it is money, you will make money. You will make money. But my concern and appeal is that do not make money at the expense of your name. The money will come, it's a fact, it will come. But let us not prioritize this over the integrity.
Today is a milestone for us in the built environment, particularly the NIOB family. The nation is undergoing a lot of reforms in the area of housing deficit that we have, and the way to ensure that all of us in the built environment must put our hands on deck to ensure the needful that need to be put in place in our country, especially when it comes to the issue of building collapse, where we engage in conversation and discussion that enriches all of us as builders to ensure that we play our part to this purpose. Some of the factors that causes building collapse are numerous, but the one that has to do with us as professionals in the built environment is the aspect of our professional input in all that is required to ensuring that from your materials to the artisans that use these materials, and then the quality of how your product or the building production should be, is something that should not be taken for granted. In as much as we know that there are issues of poor materials that are sold in the market, or even some areas where we have a lot of cocks that are in the field that are doing what is also supposed to be done. As professionals, we need to ensure that we play our part to prevent and to curtail those excesses that happen when it comes to the issue of professionalism, when it comes to the issue of using the right materials or the right quality of the building materials, which today in the market are contributory to some of those collapse in the building. So I think it is an issue that had to do with, one, the policymakers, the enforcement, and then those of us that are involved in the actual production to do all that is right to ensuring that everything, every stone should not be left unturned when it comes to that aspect of our inputs as professionals.
Our take so far is that we started well, and the people that, the dignitaries that we invited show forth, and they've given their remark. And from this beginning, I see a better light at the end of the program, because the dignitaries that have been here, like the chairman of the occasion, have been represented by Senator Okumen. He has assured about implementation of the policies of and the building regulations in the country. So it will now be boiled down for us to go back home and reflect those statements on board in our various state chapters. My message is simple: it's just to keep the flag flying and build wise and build right. For us to cope quickly is to heed on to the National Building Code, for each state chapter to domesticate the National Building Code in their various states. that will set a foundation for us to eradicate quackery. Then the states on their own, so like my state, we have a regulatory agency, we call them Edo State Development and Building Agency, regulating the processes of construction and approval processes and building permits in the state. So this institute is working with the state government to implement and domesticate national building code, and also to enforce those agencies for us to create a working policies for them so that we will be able to eradicate quackery in our various states. I know other states chapters, they are on top of it. Lagos State is on top of it. They are already practicing it. Ogun State is there. Ebonyi is there. I think at the end of the day, the whole federation will key into this so that we're able to eradicate quackery.
So far, so good. The conference is going on well, to the glory of God. Truly, there are some people that they have played a major role towards the development of this profession in Nigeria, and some are still doing their absolute best to see that the profession receives the recognition it deserves in the nation. So I think the award is well deserved. My message to all builders across the nation is that we should adhere strictly to our profession. We should avoid any practice that will bring our reputation down. And to the populace out there, learn to engage professional builders because they have the requisite training to build your structures. Avoid engaging quacks. Learn to engage professional builders.
Again, so far, today is the first day of the event. So far, so good. We are starting well, and I believe it's a good experience for builders to converge in the beautiful city of Abuja to discuss the way forward for professional development.
As a builder, what would be your message to your fellow colleagues, your other colleagues, in terms of building right and avoiding collapse of houses that usually experience in the nation today?
Yes, my advice to builders is to make sure that you build right. Avoid cut corners. Avoid trying to manage things that are unmanageable. And they don't always look into the monetary aspect of your work. First of all, pay more attention to the professional ethics, then before the monetary aspect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Advice to builders is to make sure that you build right. Avoid cut corners. Avoid trying to manage things that are unmanageable. And they don't always look into the monetary aspect of your work. First of all, pay more attention to the professional ethics, then before the monetary aspect.